All right, so I figured we do the laws surrounding the month of Nisan, upcoming month of Nisan, which is what? Wednesday night, I believe. Wednesday night, Thursday starts the month of Nisan, and then we'll get into the laws of some laws of Pesach. I apologize, I have it only in the Hebrew, so I'll translate. Don't worry. If you're worried, maybe both of you. I don't know. You're not worried. Yeah. So this is how it's broken up in the. This is called Sheva Hamaydim. Sheva Hamaydim is a halacha. It's for Chabad, so it's Chabad's halacha, like basic halachas, but it covers like everything you need to know, and customs, and it explains where the customs come from, and some of the halachas. It's an awesome book. It's the Hebrew is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It's written lashon kal, which means it's like written simply, as simple as it can be. It's not modern. There's no modern Hebrew in here. So okay, so we'll start here, and then we'll move on to the next chapter. We'll cover a lot of ground. Okay, so these are the main mitzvahs that we have to do on Pesach. So here we go. You shouldn't eat chametz starting on the 14th from the from chatzos, which is like here it's like around 1:30 p.m. on the 14th. These are from the Torah. You have to burn your chametz from midday. You're not allowed to shelo yirah chametz kol shiva. You're not allowed to see chametz all 7 days. You can't see it. Shelo yimatze. It cannot be found. Chametz cannot be found on all 7 days. In our case, 8 days, right? Shelo le'achol chametz, and you're not allowed to eat chametz on all 7 days. Now, the main thing you got to know over here is that it has to belong to you. You're not allowed to bal. It says in the Torah, bal yira, lo yira, lo yamatza, bal yira, bal yamatza. You're not allowed to see it, and you're not allowed to find it. Everyone goes mashug on Pesach to get rid of chametz. All you really have to do on Pesach is just say, all the chametz in my house doesn't belong to me. Anybody can come in and take it. It doesn't belong to me anymore. Even though it's in my house, anybody can come in and take whatever they want. Boom, you've taken care of the Torah prohibition, and you're fine and hunky-dory. And you're really taking care of the rabbinic prohibition. So why do we go crazy?
Okay, I was just going to ask that, so go ahead.
Yeah, so why do we go crazy? Like on Shabbos. It's a classic. I go into my girl's room on Shabbos, and I see the light is on. And I'm like, I'll tell you exactly what I was like. Who turned the light on? No, don't tell me. Because then one always feels bad. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, who turned the light on? But then I'm like, wait, don't tell me. It's fine. Like, whatever. Why? One of my girls, she's used to walking into a room. She just turns the light on. And whatever. Happens to me probably, once every 3 months or so. I actually flip a light on Shabbos. I've accidentally, whatever. There's things that I do that I shouldn't do because you're used to doing it. So because you're used to doing it, we're very, on Pesach, we're very stringent about not eating chametz. Eating chametz on Pesach is worse than eating a cheeseburger in a lot of ways. Eating a cheeseburger is also very bad. But chametz is even worse. Why? Because chametz is a problem in any amount. It's called aser mashahu. If you have this is a classic example. If a drop of milk falls into your pot of meat, right? How much meat do you need in order for you to, against that milk, in order to eat that pot of meat? 60 times the amount. It's called batal b'shishim. If a little bit of milk falls into chicken soup, if there's 60 times the amount of chicken soup against that drop of milk, you can have it. It's not a problem. The most religious people will eat it. It's not a problem. However, when it comes to chametz, any amount, it never becomes batal. It never becomes nullified. Any amount of chametz is a problem. Otherwise, it's an isser of kares. The person gets the punishment of kares, so to speak, which is like it's the worst kind of punishment, for lack of a better word, possible. So it's like the Torah is stressing to us, chametz is like a big problem. And since you're very used to eating chametz, you eat chametz 359, 58 days of the year, you're very common if you see like a cracker and you're hungry and you need a little snack, it's very common, they say, to just take one. So what we do, we go mashuga, we go crazy, and we try to get rid of as much chametz as we can. But you don't get rid of all of your chametz. You don't have to literally take it out of your house. You put it in a place, in a cupboard, you seal up the cupboard. Why do you seal it up? So that you won't come to open it. Yeah, you're used to 1 o'clock in the morning, I might come and I might open up my cabinet, and I'll open it. So we cover it up like crazy, and we sell that part of our house. We say all the chametz in here, we sell it. Again, because it's bal yirah bal yimatzah. You're not allowed to see it, you're not allowed to find it, and it's a big isser, it's a big prohibition against having chametz. Chassidically speaking, it says that the person, chametz represents gaiva, arrogancy. If you're going to be lax about getting rid of chametz, it shows on arrogance. Like you're like, I don't mind if a little bit of arrogance hangs out at my house. I took care of, I took care of like the basics. I said no more chametz. I give up all ownership of my chametz, and I don't need to look so much because I just said like I got rid of all my chametz. Okay, I don't know if there's chametz in a cupboard over there. It doesn't belong to me. It's like it's not really in the spirit. Excuse me. It's not really in the spirit of chametz, of getting rid of chametz. It's not like the spirit of Pesach, because we're trying to remove our arrogance. So we go a little bit crazy to remove it. Now, I also want to add a few things. It says in halacha, usually in halacha, you're not allowed to take on extra stringencies. Stringencies that don't have a basis in Jewish law, we don't do. You can't do that. Like, yeah, you can't say, okay, now I'm going to start, whatever. I'm going to say the Shema 8 times a day. And whatever, let's just say the Shema 8 times a day. It's not a very good example. Let's just say, that's not something you should flaunt. That's
like
actually frowned upon.
Like waiting 12 hours between meat and milk.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, wait 12 hours. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to wait, instead of 6 hours, I'm going to wait 12 hours. Exactly. That has no.
Or like I wait 6 hours after milk or whatever.
Right. Right. If it doesn't exactly. Very good examples. If it doesn't exist, it's frowned upon in the Torah, because it says in halacha, God says, I've given you enough stringencies and laws. What you're going to add more stringencies? It's not like you're not allowed to enjoy life. You can enjoy life. However, halacha says when it comes to Pesach, people can go crazy because it's such a because the isser of eating chametz, the prohibition of eating chametz, is so severe. It's the most severe. We let anybody do whatever they want. And we're going to read a few things that people do, and they don't even have, and it brings down the sources, and it'll say for a few of them, like people don't eat garlic on Pesach. They don't eat garlic, and it says on halacha people don't eat garlic. And what's the reason why they don't eat garlic? There's no reason. We don't know. We have no idea. But people don't eat garlic. I eat garlic. Whatever. I have garlic. Some people say, people get it all mixed up too. Like we're going to say something about, I don't know, there are certain things that they would store in flour. Okay, number one, nowadays we don't store anything in flour, really, to dry things. Dried fruit, they say, is sometimes with flour, but we don't store anything in flour. And people will say, oh, we don't eat garlic because it was stored in flour. No, that was a different vegetable that we stored in flour. Don't mix up other things. Whatever, it's going to clear up a few of those items. Let's go see over here. Lechol matzah b'el tesva. Okay, another halacha is that we have to eat matzah on the 15th of Nisan, and you should tell over the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Doesn't matter if you come from a family that was not subjugated in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. As we see, Rabbi Akiva told over the story of coming out of Egypt. He comes from converts. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Tarfon, they're from the tribe of Levi. They weren't subjugated in Egypt, yet they still tell over the story. You have to tell over the story. The answer to my quiz today is that yes, women have to make kiddush. Everybody has to make their own kiddush on the night of Pesach. Every man and woman have to drink 4 cups of wine. It should really be wine. Stories of the Gemara of rabbis who were allergic to sulfites, yet they would still push themselves to drink wine. Obviously, if you have substance abuse issues, then you don't drink wine. You do grape juice, but the most preferred way to do it is to have wine. You need the minimum amount is 3.5 ounces. Not so much. It's really about this. 3.5 ounces. It doesn't have to be red wine. It can be white wine. So in our house, a lot of us have the Bartenura. It's more or less low alcohol content. And one year, my father and I came home, and all we had was Baron Herzog dry, like 14% wine. And I was like, you're supposed to drink the whole cup. Yeah, you should fill it up to the top. You should drink the whole cup. So you can get a 4-ounce cup if you want, and right, you can there's tricks of the trade and have a low alcohol content. That's kind of what we did now, and I really do it because of this story. My father and I were drinking. Yeah, we had like a full cup like this, and I was like, "You got to drink the whole thing." I just remember this one scene. I just remember myself sitting on the bathroom floor, looking up. The room was spinning so much that I was like crying. I was like, this is never going to end. Like the room just keeps spinning and spinning. And then I walk out, and my father's like, he's like on the couch. He's like, never again. Anyway, you gotta know us to. It was it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. You have a horrible sleep. Anyway, Lord, okay. The Torah is very machmir with chametz. You are obligated to search out your home. Be careful to get rid of all your chametz. My wife and I, we're going to be doing it this week. We're getting rid of all of our chametz this week, and we call it turning over the kitchen. My kitchen has been turned over. That's like the vernacular. That's the common term, the common phrase. We're turning over our kitchen. We'll turn over our kitchen this week because it takes a long time to really clean out your chametz. If you want to do it somewhat right. Got car seats, and you got to bring the car, and you get the cleaning lady, and there's like a whole long things you got to do. Yeah. So anyway, Masha Enkein, when it comes to here we go. Aser Mashahu. The Torah says about chametz, it's Aser Mashu. Any amount, any substance amount is Aser. You're not allowed to have it on Pesach. Masha Enkein, when it comes to other types of foods, we're not so machmir. We're not so stringent. Therefore, the Jewish people accepted upon themselves to be very stringent when it comes to Pesach in order to worry about any worry of chametz. Like the Alter Rebbe writes in his Shulchan Aruch, the Yisrael, the Jewish people, are holy, and they conducted themselves to be very careful with regards to the chametz, that it shouldn't be found. And therefore, even those which are anything that's stuck to the house, to the wall, pots, like different utensils and everything like that, we clean them out very well. We learned the laws. You want to know something interesting in halacha? We learned the laws of how to kasher utensils from Pesach, because what do we learn how to make something kosher in the laws of Pesach? The whole concept of like burning boiling water over on a pot. So the Alter Rebbe is going to say, not just the Alter Rebbe, it brings the Shulchan Aruch that you should have separate utensils for Pesach. But not everybody can afford separate utensils for Pesach. So the fallback position, b'diavad, as we say it, is to kasher all of your items. I think Rabbi Silverberg is doing that on Wednesday nights. He's teaching you how to kasher your items, which we've done before. It's not so difficult. Okay, lachen, in order, a few weeks before, you should start cleaning your house. Yeah, you should start cleaning your house a few weeks before because it's going to take some time. It's great to. There's also something called Zayah Shel Mitzvah, the idea of sweating during a mitzvah. In other words, exertion of a mitzvah. This is the best way. Hashem gets a lot of nachas, brings down halacha, gets a lot of pleasure from a person who exerts himself to do a mitzvah, and this is one of those places where you can exert yourself to do a mitzvah. Okay, now this is actually quite interesting and quite important. It says in halacha, it brings down, the Chachamim bring down in the Gemara, how great is it to do kind acts and bring people closer to Yiddishkeit by inviting them over to your house, showing brotherly love, especially giving them food to eat in the house. When it comes to Pesach, however, the Nahagu Rabin, majority of people, the custom is we don't necessarily invite people over for a meal. And if you do invite people over for a meal, you don't ask them, "Would you like to try this? Here, Pat, try this. You should try this." We just leave it down in front of them and let people take, because we don't know what different people's customs are. Don't be offended if you don't get invited over as much over to the rabbi's house during Pesach as maybe other holidays. First of all, it's a lot of work to invite people over. I would like to take this point to bring up something. Most people for Pesach, food is like horrible. Why? Because most people are used to eating cereal for breakfast and I don't know, whatever they eat for breakfast in the regular day, they get ready-made food. And so what do? They buy Pesach cereal, and they buy Pesach syrup and Pesach, pizza and all these different things. And so Pesach is disgusting. At least I grew up that way. We would purposely go and buy like Pesach candy. Okay, we didn't eat candy the rest of the year. We didn't have waffles the rest of the year. I didn't have to have cereal for 7 days. Pesach food, for the most part, is what I eat during the rest of the year. Eggs in the morning. You can grill anything you want. You want grilled chicken, you want hamburgers, you want salads, egg salad. We probably eat the most healthy, to be honest, on Pesach than any other time of the year. Don't go ahead and buy things that are disgusting. Just eat very wholesome, healthy foods. Like, very simple, just to make that up. Oh, so why am I saying this? You can have, if you have a grill, if you buy a grill just before Pesach, if you have like a little bit of a grill, you can make a cookout every day. My neighbor Shlomi, my neighbor has a grill, a Pesach grill, and we eat whatever. He makes like chicken wings like every other day and stuff. It's great. It's wonderful. Pesach food is
Rabbi.
Yeah.
So what about those that are stringent, like my son? He doesn't buy anything store-bought, whether it's kosher for Passover, and my synagogue, pretty much all of them are like that.
Yeah, processed foods. So Chabad is careful to try not to have processed foods. Why processed foods? The idea is you don't know everything that's going on in the ingredients. Now, there's an argument back to that also, but I'll say that argument back in a second. So because we don't know, there are Hasidim that don't eat in anybody's house. They only eat their wife's cooking. Why? Because they're not sure. You can never be certain if somebody really knows all the laws of cooking and that maybe they're making mistakes, and now I'm eating non-kosher food. So the same thing, in a big corporation, I don't know what's going on. I can't see them making the cheese. And so therefore, I'm not going to have the cheese. Now, everybody eats eggs. The food that I was talking about is unprocessed foods. Like I'm talking about meat. Okay, it's processed, but everybody eats that. Even your son will eat chicken. He's not checking. I don't know. Maybe he's checking the chicken himself. I doubt it.
No, it's just meat, potatoes, and vegetables and fruits.
Okay, right. Meat, potatoes, and vegetables, which is like a very good. I'm sure I have eggs. Like it's like a very wholesome food. That's what I'm saying. Like that's pretty much what I eat the whole week anyway. Now Chabad, yeah. So Chabad is a little bit careful not to have processed foods. The argument back to that, people have this argument back, is that corporations have a lot more at stake. They're very careful. They are very careful when it says kosher for Passover, and it's been vetted by halakhic authorities. They're not going to make such a mistake because they can't risk destroying their business. And so therefore you can even be a little bit more reliant than a human. It's like less human error. Because a lot of it is more automated. And then we moved away from the human error. Let me give you something simple, something interesting. When the machine-made matzahs came out in the early 1900s, Streitz, I think, was the first company. The Rebbe Rashab, the Fit Chabad Rebbe, sat in his room and he was thinking, maybe this is better for us to have than the shmura matzah, the handmade matzah. Why? Because there's no error. There's much less room for error. It's all automated. He ultimately concluded it's better to have the shmura matzah, those round matzahs that cost 8,000 times more per pound, because there's a special mitzvah when you're making the matzah. It has to be, you have to verbalize the shem mitzvah's matzah. It has to be for this. I'm making matzah just for the sake of the mitzvah of matzah. It has to be altruistic, for altruistic reasons. And he says it's not enough that the person who just presses the button to keep it going, that's not enough. It has to each matzah has to have that intention. Whatever, that was like a conclusion that he, but the what we call a havamina, the fact that he even entertained the thought that machine-made matzah is better, it's very simple because there's less room for human error. There's less room for anything else to get mixed in. It's so automated and so carefully guarded. Yeah, and who can go in and who can go out, as opposed to someone's kitchen. I don't know. Maybe one of the kids came in and did something. I don't know. Maybe brought something from outside. I can't never be really sure. You're probably more likely to be safe with a company. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's both sides of the argument. A lot of people now. So what's something that they cook with? So if they don't use oil, because oil is they use chicken fat. So they make chicken soup. This is what people do. And I've done this many times. You cook eggs in chicken fat. First of all, you're fleshing the entire day, and your stomach, you're so heavy. It's like, I've been to many very Chabadnik homes, and they still have oil, just to say olive oil. At the very least, I have to have my olive oil. Okay, so, but yeah. Okay, if you have any questions, we can move on. So I just want to say one of the customs of Chabad is that we don't tell someone, hey, try this. You just put it down. If they want to take it, they take it. If they don't want to, they don't want to. And we learned that story from right here, from the Rebbe Rashab, the Alter Rebbe, that one time his brother came in and said, I just heard from our father. The Alter Rebbe said to his brother that we don't whatever. He just told him the story. We don't put food in front of people. The Rebbe, it's known that the Rebbe would have chocolate from Schmerlings. Yeah, processed chocolate from Schmerlings in Sweden. The Rebbe ate kosher for Pesach chocolate during Pesach. So some people are like, we call dafgeniks. They specifically go and have Schmerling chocolate from Sweden on Pesach. You want to know something interesting? The Rebbe ate chocolate in almost anything. I worked with a lady, Shalamis Nadler. She cooked for the Rebbe. And they said to her, she told me, she said that the secretary said to her, you can make the Rebbe whatever you want, it just has to have chocolate in it. Very interesting. It wasn't sweet chocolate. It was very, what do you call? Very bitter chocolate. Okay, what is chametz? Chametz is any grain from the 5 species: wheat, barley, oats, rye, and spelt. And if water touches it and it stays there for 18 minutes, we say it becomes chametz. And therefore, Chabad has a custom. So that's if you just leave it there. You don't do anything with it. You just let the water sit there. We say it starts to become chametz. And therefore, we have a custom to not eat gebroxt. What is gebroxt? Gebroxt, like matzah brai, matzah ball soup. Yeah, except for the last day of Pesach. Chabad has a stringent custom that we don't, it's not just Chabad, a lot of people do. We don't have gebroxt. We don't have any matzah cooked. We don't have matzah cooked with water. We keep matzah very far away from water. So we don't have matzah ball soup. We don't have matzah brai, anything matzah stick. Except for the 8th day of Pesach, we do. Because most of the Jewish people do. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And the chances of it actually becoming chametz are like 0. But we still, because there is still a 0.0001% chance, Chabad, unfortunately, is very careful with it. Which, to be honest, I don't really care. Matzah brai is disgusting. I don't know why. As a kid, I loved it. Why did I like it? Because I liked the syrup. Whatever, the syrup. I didn't care about the matzah brai itself. Oh, matzah brai, it's so good. Yeah, you don't have it the rest of the year. It's not that good. Give me a break. Okay, matzah pizza, maybe. Not bad. But we don't have matzah pizza. Okay, chametz is usher to eat and for hana. Hana means pleasure. But in Torah, when it says pleasure, it means to sell. Technically, you can sell non-kosher cheeseburgers. Halachically, you can do that. We're not allowed to eat or taste a cheeseburger. but it's not asr lahana. It's not asr to sell. Now, it might not be in the spirit. You can make a profit from it. Now, it might not be in the spirit of Judaism, but nevertheless, you can. Chametz, you are not allowed to sell on Pesach. You can't sell it. Now, this is a huge bombshell. What I'm about to drop. Big bomb. What time is it over here? The big problems over here. A lot of liquor companies are owned by one Jew. So a lot of these liquor companies and beer companies, they're owned by like American liquor organization, whatever. They're all it's like a conglomerate, whatever. When one company, there's a parent company, a bunch of little companies. So some whiskey, a lot of whiskeys and a lot of bourbons and a lot of beer, which are totally 100% kosher ingredients, are held in possession by Jews during Pesach. And that's a problem because you're having the status of chametz. If a Jew owns the chametz on Pesach, it never loses its status as chametz, as a problematic chametz. Which means there are companies, I think like Buffalo Trace and whatever. There's a lot of companies, like well-known ones, which were owned by a Jew during Pesach, and therefore we're not allowed to drink it. Not allowed to drink it. There was a big something very interesting. The guy who owns like the biggest one, I forgot what it's called. I can give you the email address. American something alcohol company, which is like the parent company of like Anheuser and like a ton of major brands. So for a very long time he didn't sell, but the OK, which is one of the kosher agencies, got him to sell. So he sells it during Pesach. It's like a buy-sell agreement. Whatever, he doesn't take a profit. I don't exactly know how it works. They somehow worked it out, so it's fine. A big issue is if a Jew owns a grocery store. So there's a grocery store in Pittsburgh called Giant Eagle. I just happened to live there for a year, so I know about it. I'm sure there's millions of grocery stores owned by Jews. He didn't sell on Pesach, but everybody knew that once Pesach's over, don't buy any items there for 2 weeks because that's when the inventory switches over. So it's brand new inventory. It gets rid of the old inventory, it's brand new inventory. So we usually wait about 2 weeks, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks. The Rabbi Silverberg will know. If you know a grocery store is owned by a Jew and he doesn't sell his chametz for Pesach, which means sell his chametz for Pesach, meaning he doesn't sell his store. He doesn't sell the store for a week. That week's profits don't belong to him. It belongs to somebody else. You're not allowed to have that. Okay.
So it's kind of like cooking on Shabbos, like
Yeah.
the food is puzzle forever for anybody.
It's done intentionally. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. It's basically exactly the same thing. Yeah. The question is though, if you cook food on Shabbos, if a Jew cooks food on Shabbos intentionally, there's a good chance he could sell it to a non-Jew. He can sell it to a non-Jew. Here, and take the profit, take the money. Here, you're not allowed to sell chametz. A Jew is not allowed to sell. He can't make a profit from chametz. So he can't. He can't just make it like I'm only going to sell to non-Jews, and let's say only non-Jews buy it. He can't take the money. It's asr bahana. That's what makes it worse than a cheeseburger. As a cheeseburger, a Jew could sell and make a profit, but chametz is not allowed to sell. Now, chametz is something that only exists during Pesach, except in this situation where it's funny, right? A piece of challah, which was 100% beautifully kosher, and I'll elevate my Shabbos and my Yom Tif. One day, the next day, it could be the worst thing in the world. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. Okay, that's basically that. But now we're going to get into, which we don't really have time for, but just to mention, we're going to come back to the laws of Pesach, but I just wanted to jump into the laws of Nisan. The month of Nisan is coming up Wednesday night, Thursday. There are certain customs. We don't say tachanun. There's no 100% joy. We have 100% joy during the month of Nisan. Nisan is above. Nisan is above. It's a month of Geula. It's a month that's higher than nature. There's no bogging down. We don't get bogged down. So it's tremendous joy, and therefore it's pure. We don't say any. You're not allowed to fast, and you're not allowed to say tachanun. You're not allowed to say supplications. Except who fasts? Only the firstborn fasts on the 14th, the day before Pesach. He fasts. But if you hear a siyum, if you hear a conclusion of a tractate of Gemara, then you don't fast, and everybody does that. Everybody tries to hear us. Nobody tries to fast, even on the Erev Pesach, the night before Pesach. Okay, why do they fast? They fast because they were saved, right? Or they were saved. They were supposed to die. Firstborns were supposed to die. Even firstborn Jews were supposed to die in the plague. But God said, "I'll tell you the trick to not get killed. Put a little blood on the doorpost, and everything will be fine and hunky dory." Okay, so we don't fast the entire month of Nisan. From Rosh Chodesh Nisan onwards, we say the parsha of the Nasi. So Rosh Chodesh Nisan is when the tabernacle was established. That's when Moses set up the tabernacle, the Mishkan. And so for the next 12 days, each tribe brought the same gift, right? We brought a gift. It was a 12-day celebration. We read each day's tribe's gift, a tribe's nedava, tribe's contribution. That's a custom that we do. And we say, if I'm connected to this tribe, please let me have all the blessings that they had when they gave it. Please bestow it upon me. If you look inside the siddur, when we get to it, I'll show you what you say. It's like a little paragraph. It's very nice. Okay, and then I'll read one of the okay, then we say he wrote exactly. Okay, and one more important thing: during the entire month of Nisan, you have the opportunity to do something called birchas ayilonas, the blessing on the trees. We say a special blessing on trees that are fruit trees that are sprouting. Once they start sprouting, if you see a fruit tree that's sprouting, you say a special blessing. You can only say it in the month of Nisan. I'll show you which page it's on when I have a siddur in front of me. But we try to do it on 2 trees. If you don't have 2 trees, you don't have 1 tree. It can't just be any tree. It has to be specifically a fruit tree. It's a very awesome, it's just like a cool bracha that you make. So this is what it is. That thank you Hashem that you didn't there's nothing missing in your world. You create new and good species and trees, and they're good, that we can have pleasure from them. Thank you. Yeah. You can only say it on a tree that you can eat, which I believe is only a fruit tree, right? We're very careful to try to do 2 trees that are sprouting. B'diavad, fallback position, you're allowed to do it when there's only 1 tree. And then we'll get into Shabbos HaGadol. Okay, anybody have any questions? Sorry, I spoke very fast. I always say that.
Okay, I actually have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I know you don't mix like people who won't mix like matzah meal or anything like that.
Yeah.
What if I just wanted to mix it with a ton of butter? Because butter's not going to leaven anything.
Yeah, you could do it. I'm saying this is not a halacha. Gebrux is not a halacha. It's called gebrux. It's not a halacha. It's a custom that we're careful to do. So you could. I mean, you can mix. You can cook. I'm saying you can do it. You could totally do it. Like, not a problem. There's no. In fact, majority of the Jewish people do it. Majority of the Jewish people eat gebrux. Like, they'll put butter together with matzah and do that. You got to cook it right away. You got to cook it. Yeah, you got to cook it. But yeah. For sure.
What if I wanted to leave it raw and just make edible cookie dough?
Yeah, the chances of it becoming chametz from matzah are very slim. You could do it. You could totally do it, for sure. You can. Cool. You can do it. Totally. You can dip your matzah in water, according to the Torah, according to any halacha. Not a problem. You can totally do it. Chabad is very careful not to do it, even though we all know with 100% certainty it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to become chametz. Just one of these stringencies that we took upon ourselves. That I joined.
But in that case, there's no water involved in the process because it's just a fat.
Right. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, because that's not how leavening works.
We keep. I know, but we keep matzah away. I don't eat matzah. Sorry, I don't eat matzah. Chol Hamoed Pesach. Honestly, I only eat matzah during the Seder and then on Shabbos or Yom Tov. But the whole rest of the time, because it's like the so neurotic about I keep matzah away from everything. I don't eat it. I actually don't. You don't have to eat matzah all 7 days. You don't have to have matzah all 7 days.
Wait, doesn't it say you should eat matzah 7 days?
Yeah, no, you don't have to. You should drink wine. You don't have to. If you're going to eat matzah, if you're going to have bread, if you want to have a meal, you should have matzah. You don't have to have matzah all 7 days. It's better to. It's definitely better to. You should drink a glass of wine every day, by the way. That's a halacha from the Torah, because you have to be a simcha. And
That I can do.
simcha ela basar b'yayin. It's simcha is only has to be accompanied with. It really is either meat or wine. We try to do both, but you have to have wine every day. By the way, just to say it, 3.5 ounces. Bori priya guffin. Don't make a kiddush or anything. Yes, and also it does speak about in halacha that you should eat matzah all 7 days. You should. You don't have to though. Whatever. It's like a careful reading. It'll come. It'll bring it up. You'll see. You'll see. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, Bella, you can do whatever you want. Chabad, we don't. We'll get into what kitnios are. Ashkenazi, we don't have rice. Sephardim do have rice. Rice is not a problem on Pesach whatsoever. In fact, there's a story that in 1980, when the Shah was taken over in Iran, Chabad was very instrumental in getting, Rabbi J.J. Hecht in particular, was very instrumental in getting a lot of Jewish children out of Iran at the time, and they came that Pesach. It was right before Pesach, and they came to 770. They came to Crown Heights, and the Rebbe said, "Is there rice for them?" And then Chassidim were like, "We don't have rice, and like we don't eat rice on Pesach." And the Rebbe said, "No, go get rice and cook it in our kitchen and give it to them. You can't eat it, but they eat it, so it's not a problem." Anyway, so rice is not a problem on Pesach. We just don't eat it if you're Ashkenazi. But if you have it in your house, it's not a problem. It's not chametz. Big misconception. Okay, I gotta go.
So, Rabbi,
one
real quick,
last question. Yeah, sure.
Just to be clear, Chabad, we don't put butter, jelly, cheese, anything on matzah.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it's not a halacha, but yeah, we're careful
Okay.
now. Some people put avocado. I guess avocado is completely dry. It's a completely dry substance. I don't know. But I have very religious friends that put avocado. But yeah, we don't put anything. That's the custom. I don't stop anybody that does it. Even if they do it in my house, I don't stop them. Like I don't for myself I don't do it. But my wife also doesn't do it. But yeah. Chabad custom. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of customs on Pesach. Yeah, what, is another question?
No, I just said thank you.
Oh yeah. By the way, I love Pesach. Just to let you know, I know Pesach is actually my favorite. I love it, especially over here in our community. A lot of people come in. It's a big. We have like an exchange program, the Rebbe calls it, where a lot of people leave, but then we get a lot of new people that come, like family and that, and it's just one long party. Especially the last day, which is Sudas Mashiach, which we'll speak about. The special Su'udah that we have on the 8th day. That's like a huge Fabrengen over here. Huge and very fun and great time. But I love it. I like barbecue every day. I eat like a cookout every day. I don't know. It's good stuff. All right. Okay. Rabbi Weinberg will not be here tomorrow. He's at a wedding, but I'll, God willing, be giving my my weekly roundup class. And then I think there should be class tonight. And that's it. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. See you. Ciao, ciao.